Aloha, and welcome back to the Kupuna Connections television series. I'm Cullen Hayashida, the co-host for this program that is brought to you weekly to talk about practical skills for seniors and their family caregivers to remain in the community. With me are my guests and our co-hosts. So I'm going to ask my co-host Tony to start out by introducing herself.
My name's Tony Hathaway, and I'm the education coordinator with the Kupuna Education Center at Kapi'olani Community College.
And our guests today.
Hey, I'm David Nakamaejo, president of Comforting Hands Senior Care. We do personalized services at the home for the seniors so they can continue living at home.
Great.
Right. And so Comforting Hands Hawaii is a private duty home care agency, and David has done a wonderful job in trying to work with the community in understanding some aspects about how to prevent falls, and he's also been doing some innovative things having to do with elder sensitivity training, which is the topic for today, elder sensitivity training. Mm-hmm. Elders, how do we learn how to become a little bit more empathic? How do we develop this sense of compassion and what David calls the soft skills so that we can do our caregiving work better, perhaps more effectively, and perhaps even, in a sense, reduce the amount of stress that we have. So I wanted to start off, David, with a question with regards to, why is there this kind of need for elder sensitivity training?
Well, you and I know that there's a tremendous need without getting into any kind of hard numbers or, rattling off statistics. Many people know that in Hawaii, many families are taking care of their elders themselves. So family caregivers is an integral part of what's happening in Hawaii, and many families are taking care of their elders. So there is a need for these family caregivers to get properly trained. And you hit it right on the nail when you said that by getting the right training, it's the bottom line. One of the major benefits is reducing the caregiver's stress.
Right.
Yeah, it's very stressful to take care of your elders. Not easy. I have yet to find someone that said, piece of cake.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you've developed a elder sensitivity training.
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
Let's have this slide that you're going to put up here
Okay.
as well. So, with regards to the objective.
So the major objective of the sensitivity training is for the family caregiver to become more compassionate. And by becoming more compassionate and understanding the physical changes that the elder go through, they will be better at caring. And what I mean by that is not the hard skills like you mentioned earlier. In terms of, let's give an example of hard skills. Hard skills is like transferring from wheelchair to the bed, wheelchair to car, changing sheets on a bed that's being occupied by the elder. Those are hard skills, bathing assist. We're talking about the soft skills, things that need to be taken and felt by the heart. That's by doing that and understanding that, believe it or not, you become a better family caregiver, and it will actually reduce your stress, taking care of your parents. And that's what this training is about. And those just very, very basic objective in terms of you becoming more empathic or, as you said, more compassionate.
Okay.
So it's kind of how you communicate that caring spirit to the person that you're taking care of.
Yeah, communicating that and understanding what they're going through. And when you start understanding or seeing what they're going through the elder's eyes, you get more patient. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, maybe you've answered this question to a certain extent, but as you mentioned, perhaps you can go through in many of the courses that are offered for nurses' aid, for example, in terms of learning how to have a person transfer from a bed to a wheelchair, and there's step 1 to 20, for example, and you've got to follow it in a particular order.
Right.
And people can follow those steps, but you're talking about this other kind of skill. Now, why do we need this? Why do we need this skill? Maybe you can kind of elaborate a little bit more with.
Well, let me give you an example of a soft skill, and we can go through this. It's called the 12 inches of life, and we'll go through this quite quickly. In other words, if you imagine a person's life, each inch, each
Okay.
inch.
We've put this slide up there.
Okay.
Okay.
Each inch represents 7 years. Roughly, the average age of a male is about 76 years. Of course, in Hawaii it's different. And the average age for a female is about 83, 84. Okay, that's a moving target. But let's just use that as the general rule. Okay.
The 12-inch rule, right?
Yeah, the 12-inch. I like that, the 12-inch rule. Okay. So as we go through it, what I need you to do is to rip off an inch of the ruler. And as you rip it off, it's gone forever. So I need you to rip off the inch and rip it off in small pieces. So let's walk these things, through. All right, you're 1 year old. Your parents are happy. You look at the ruler, and at age 5, you start kindergarten. Okay, that in a blink, it's gone.
Okay,
So,
that's the first part.
Yeah, that's why rip it up. Rip it up. No, rip it.
Oh, got to tear it up, huh?
It's gone. You can't get this part of the ruler.
You cannot get this part of the ruler back. Okay.
Okay, in a blink, when you finished elementary school, your parents can't believe it. You're 11. That's the 2nd inch almost already. So that's gone.
There's another inch.
Okay,
It's gone.
Yeah. And then,
Boy, all these viewers out there wish they could play too, you know what I mean?
and then your parents were excited. So at the 3rd inch, when you graduated from high school, in Hawaii,
Yep.
lays up the kazoo, big graduation party. That's gone.
Yeah, that's gone. Okay.
And then the next inch, when you're 28, for some got married, some have 1, maybe even 2 kids. That's done already.
That's done.
Yep.
Yep.
And
A
think
lot of my ruler is gone.
yeah. And then when you think about it, for those of you that are taking care of your parents, when your first child went to elementary school, you're in your 30s. That's gone. And then before you know it, another inch is gone because you're just rolling along. Okay. Then when your first child graduates from high school, you're in your 40s. That's gone.
That's gone.
Okay, probably some of the viewers are going, ooh, I know where this is getting at already, yeah. How fast? And then in your late 50s, some of the adult children, your family caregivers, you get your first grandchild. Late 50s, maybe early 60s, yeah, it depends, yeah? So those of you that are caring for your parents, if you have grandchildren,
Those years are there.
they're
right?
already, yeah.
Right.
And then inch 9 is when your first grandchild goes to elementary school. You're in your 60s. And many of the family caregivers are in this age bracket right now.
That's right.
Right? And then now let's just shift gears a little bit. Think of your father or your mother, or you both, either parent, or uncle and aunt, 62, 65, retired. That's what they were.
That's gone.
Gone.
Okay.
They retired already. So when you think about it, if your father is in his 70s or in his 80s, they're in 11. So if your mother is in her 80s, this is all she has left. 1 inch.
Just 1 inch, huh?
That's it.
Just 1 inch.
1 inch left. And you know how fast time goes. So my mother's 84. She's at the end of her inch. So, it's like, yikes. Not much time left. By doing that and understanding that you just got this 1 inch left, you
Gain a little bit more
tolerant.
patience.
You're tolerant, or they bite. They're in pain. They yell at you. You kind of say it's okay.
Let them be. Let them be.
Yeah, it's okay.
This is a pretty graphic way of helping people understand what it's like to get down to the last inch and the last part of your life. It really is the last part.
Yep. And for those of your parents that are in that age bracket, that's all they got left. You can't get any of this back. It's gone forever.
So that's kind of an example of one of the things that you do in elder sensitivity training.
Yeah.
And another one might have to do with role reversal.
Yeah, role reversal. One of the things that I also tell family caregivers is
And I think we have a slide about this also.
Yeah, just briefly.
Wait,
Yeah,
you
we
go-
call it reverse
You gonna put it
parenting.
on?
Wait, it's
There he is. Oh, there he is.
Okay.
Okay, with his hat. Reverse parenting.
Now,
And what's that?
It's a phrase that I came up with because I had the experience of finally getting my father into daycare. This one daycare that we went to, that was close to his house, had a waiting list. So once he got in, and we said we'll take any day, one day at a time. We'll just get our foot in the door.
And this is adult daycare.
Adult daycare, thank you.
Okay.
So the first day I took him, I dropped him off at the daycare, and then I said, "Okay, Dad, I'm gonna go." He said, "Good, go. It's okay." I said, "Okay, Dad, I love you." And I'm walking back to the parking lot and going, "Darn, this is reverse. I'm dropping him off at daycare. Wow." This is a whole reversal of things. It just kind of like hit me like, okay, I'm the one dropping off him at daycare, hoping that he behaves so that he don't fight with the other elders that I gotta come pick him up. So yeah, so I said, okay, I have an 89-year-old son. So I'm the parent now, and he's the one that needs the need, and my mother. So I tell family caregivers, you need to take off you're the child, that's the parent, and put now you're the parent and your mother is now the child. So the roles has reversed. And when you accept that, then you again become more empathic. You understand that they're gonna do stuff that drive you nuts, but hey, that's what kids do to parents. So it's reversed now. So it's all of us are in a reverse role parenting. To give an example, I tell people there are 3 groups of seniors if you want to classify them. The first group is I call it the active seniors. They're in their 60s, maybe early 70s, very healthy and can do stuff. Then there's this other seniors towards the end where they're going to be in really, really need. And then there's this gap group, okay? So that for example, they take the license away, but they need help in the activities of daily living, cooking, cleaning, that kind of thing. So these active seniors, you're still the adult child, they're the parent. But once they move into this middle group and need your help, then their role as parent stops, it reverses. You become the parent now. You gotta help take care of them because they need your assistance. So that's when the reverse parent role occurs, right in there. And of course the last group too, Okay.
And then you had another idea which has to do with the duck, of all things. And I think we have some slides about your duck message.
Yeah.
The first one is be a duck.
Be a duck.
What the heck?
We tell family caregivers you need to, by changing your frame of mind, not a major overhaul, but just by changing your frame of mind slightly, things look differently. And I tell family caregivers, just do small changes. Reverse parenting. Second one, be a duck. Yeah? And what that basically means is that whenever you are caring for your parents, you have to be like a duck and have water, literally water, just roll off your back, a duck's back. So in other words, like what the slide shows, you just gotta shake it off. In other words, whenever your mother or your father says something that just like pushes your butt in, you gotta just let it roll right off. So I tell family caregivers, never mind about if the neighbors think you're crazy. When you get out of the car and you're gonna go to your parents' house to help take care of them, you close the door, lock, and as you're walking towards your parents' house, you go quack, 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 I'm a duck, I'm a duck, I'm a duck. And never mind if your neighbors think you're crazy. You have to be a duck so that if they say something, it'll just roll right off. Easier said than done. So, I always tell them, you gotta wear this other hat.
put this in here.
And be a duck.
Be a duck.
Be a duck. And then, I tell people you should have this rubber ducky, because if your mother says something to you that okay, you go into the bedroom, you get the rubber duck out, and you go, then you go, okay.
Quack, quack.
Quack, quack. I'm good. And go out and go take care of your mom. So, for you, Tony. So that's what I mean by, be a duck. But again, see, this is going back to, I mean, we laugh about it, both Tony and Colin, but this is a soft skill. This is not something that, you can just read in a sheet of paper and says, okay, I can handle now when my father snaps at me or my mother snaps at me. I mean, no, it's something that you got to start feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes there are things that are said that is related to, the relationship with the other kids, for example, yeah, and things that you want to kind of put away comes up, and it can be really hard to walk away, but it's a good message that we have to realize that people don't have that much to live. Give them a little bit of space and
let it roll off your back. Yeah. You're the parent now. Yeah.
Yeah, so you let it roll off your back, squeeze your duck a few times. And the other thing I notice is that, you often, you take a breath and, it kind of helps you center, gives you a little new perspective, gives you a moment.
That's true.
And then you can, move on and be, more compassionate and helpful again.
Yep. And I always tell family caregivers too that you're not going to be perfect. You're going to sometimes, just automatically snap back. You're going to walk into the room and going, yikes.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
And just calm down. You said, center yourself, and then go back out.
Go back.
Yeah, you'll be fine. I mean, I mean, nobody's perfect. So because because mothers can say stuff that.
They know what button to press.
Oh yeah, that's their prerogative. That's their right.
And this is why we have these family caregiver support groups, right?
Very
for a chance for people to share the frustration and to let it out, and it's a way of kind of at least relieving some of that stress, And sometimes people learn some new techniques too, right?
Yeah.
There's some of these new kind of techniques of how to be sensitive, perhaps.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, so that's great. And another question that we have has to do with, the physical changes. There's a whole variety of physical changes that are occurring with older adults. And maybe if you could kind of point out some of these kinds of changes that we're talking about.
Okay. Well, not an easy way, but a method of learning or thinking about what physical changes occur. Think of our own senses. So in other words, our eyes, ears, sense of smell, taste, our sense of feeling when we touch stuff. So by looking at it from that way, that's how we can understand the physical changes that elders go through. So what do you mean by that then? Okay, let's just, for example, take our feelings. How we feel, the nerves. All right, so that's one of our senses. And we're not going to do this now, but one of the things that we do is we have this unpopped corn kernels, dry soybeans, and dry red beans. And what we do is I have the adult children dump it into their shoe and put their foot back in, tie up the shoelaces, stand up.
Owie, owie.
It's owie owie, and it's like, and I tell them, walk down the hall and come back to the training room.
Yeah.
And they come back and they're going, yikes. And I tell them, it's the classic, with the pain they go through, in their feet or their feelings. And to hear an adult child turn to the father and go, hurry up, Dad, we're late for the doctor's appointment. And they're walking through the parking lot, and Dad's kind of walking gingerly because his knee has arthritis, so his ankle has arthritis, and his feet got corns or bunions, and he's hurt, and he's walking slower. And the adult child says, come on, Dad, we're late. Walk faster. Yikes.
Right.
There's
And it
no-
really is sore.
Yeah.
You try this.
So
I was just going to say, people can try this at home. You can put, the unpopped corn or some beans in your shoe and walk around a little bit, and that really gives you an idea of what it feels like. It's really uncomfortable.
yeah.
One of the things that I think you make reference to is macular degeneration.
Yeah.
And then just have a slide of that, what that word is, macular degeneration. We want to share something about that and how elder sensitivity relates to that.
Yeah, okay. You got the slide out? If you can
Sure,
put it up?
yeah.
All right. Without getting into the medical aspect of it and a technical, macular degeneration is when you are reading or looking at something and the middle part is blocked out because of nerve damage, okay? Keep it simple. So in other words, when you take your father, your elder to the eye doctor and he says, okay, beginning to get macular degeneration, this is what's happening as you see on the screen. It may not be that large, but it's a start. And so what happens is that the elder then therefore has a hard time looking at medication or what medication to take because they're having a hard time reading the bottle. So when you have an adult child saying, Dad, you haven't been taking the medications, like you get a hard time reading it. Maybe you got to start helping him by dispensing it into Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, that kind of thing. So they have a hard time reading. And again, even just reading the mail, if you notice that some of them will look at it and they'll turn sideways because the center's blocked. If you turn, then they can read it sideways. But that's macular degeneration. That's pretty rough. Another one is cataract, the blurring of the vision.
Right. And we have a slide that shows what it looks like when you have a sandwich bag. Huh?
Well,
your vision is as good as a sandwich bag.
Yeah.
Explain that.
Okay, what I tell family caregivers is to get out your, what brand? Ziploc.
Ziploc.
There you go,
Yeah, Ziploc.
Ziploc.
This is a sandwich bag. Okay, you take it out and you hold it up above the newspaper, and it's like, wow, I can't even read it. Yikes! And that's what happens. I mean, slow, especially, and cataracts come slowly. It doesn't like you wake up one day and like, whoa, I got fuzzy vision. I better go to the doctor. It just slowly creeps up. In fact, even for me, my last eye check, they said, okay, cataract is starting in the left eye, but he said, don't worry, it'll be years and years from now, but it's starting. Like, yikes. So, it'll take years to the point where it says, okay, you're going to need cataract. Yeah, it's time. So, anyway, again, if the family caregiver will look at the medicine vial, the size of the font, the print, is for 20-year-olds. It's not
Yeah,
for
it's
us 60,
tiny.
70, and
Right.
80-year-old people. I mean, it's so tiny, it's not even funny. I'm seeing, when are they going to figure it out that they're going to make the print larger?
Yeah.
So coupled with small print, cataract, yikes. It's no wonder they take the wrong medication.
And the pill bottles are not that easy to open.
That too.
Right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
another
yeah.
issue.
Yeah. It's
Right.
another one. Okay, so I tell people, just when you take out the sandwich, take a look like, yikes. And if you double it, that's being legally blind. You still can see stuff around, but you can't read anything. But that's considered legally blind.
So why do you think we as caregivers are kind of unaware of these changes as they come along?
It's because it's something that's going to happen to us in the future. It's, it's really hard for us to experience that unless you go to like something that, we do this kind of training where we kind of, as best possible, have the family caregiver go through what the adult is experiencing. But that's like in the future for the adult child. In other words, hearing loss, for example, adult children got most of their hearing. Only when they get into the 80s, they're going to find out that, I've lost my hearing or my taste and that kind of thing. So that's one of the reasons why it's difficult for someone who has not but has not experienced it personally to understand what the elder is going through. And it's like even what's common for my father was in the 100th Battalion. And it was common, for example, for those veterans that the side they shot the M1, the hearing is
Shot.
gone, man.
yeah.
Because that M1 was a cannon. And I would be really surprised if they distributed hearing plugs during the war in the trenches in France or Italy or wherever they were at. Yeah, in Africa where So it's that kind of changes or at least physical things that we have soon to experience have not gone through. And that's
But
why
I think, your discussion about the fact that people do know that, young people do know that old people get older and that they lose physical function. but they have never really sat down and thought about loss of vision, about macular degeneration, about pain in the feet, and that sort of thing. And so by making reference to some of these kinds of exercises that you talk about, I think people then can begin to at least show a little bit more understanding. Yeah. So that kind of training is so valuable, I think.
Yeah, and is valuable, and there's a big need for it.
Can you tell us how can our viewers learn about how to become more sensitive? How can they learn to become more sensitive towards the elders they're caring for?
Yeah, that's a tough question. But from the standpoint of what they can do from now is do their best in terms of, like, for example, be a duck.
Okay.
And understand that their role now is they're the parent.
Okay.
Okay, and then that's probably the way of looking at changing slightly your frame of reference.
Okay.
Just not a major overhaul, not a big mindset change, but just small ones. Understand that when you are in pain, you go to bed in pain, you get up and you're in pain, you're not a happy camper. So your tolerance for stuff is low, so you might end up snapping right away.
Mm-hmm. And that's all the more reason why we should be ducks, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
So is that your last tip? Remember to be a duck, or do you have another one?
No, if I had to leave one major tip, you're the parent now, and remember that, and then just be a duck. If anything you can take away from just watching this show for now. Yeah, so just what I don't want you to do is when your elder says something that it just pushes one of your button, I don't want you to go to your mother's face and go quack quack. Just think it.
Okay. I think this is about all the time that we have today, and with David Nakamaejo on elder sensitivity and why it's so important to pick up some of these skills, these soft skills that he's talking about. Thank you again, and for those who are interested in learning more about elder sensitivity, contact our Kupuna Education Center for more information. At the end of this showing, there will be some information about that. So thank you again, and see you again next week. Aloha.